what we're going to talk about and the way we're going to approach it is we'll look at the Civil Liability Act, and we'll look at Section 3 of that Act and how that works. How does it work in relation to valuing the injuries the claimant sustained? What is the definition of the whiplash injury regulations? What's the tariff? What's the definition of a whiplash injury pursuant to that? What are tariff and non-tariff injuries? What do we mean when we talk about that? I think we need to address, and we will address, the common law approach. I think it's always difficult when courts sort of interfere, if you like, with the way in which injuries are valued, and they don't do it very often. If you sort of think back, it's rare that judges will get involved in producing any kind of tariff, actually, in relation to the award of injuries for pain, suffering, and loss of amenity. It just doesn't happen. So we have to work out, there's really very little precedent, if you like, for how the common law way of approaching that valuation using the Judicial College guidelines, how does that interact with this tariff that we've got? And that's been a sort of burning question since the beginning. We will look at Hassam and Rabot, and we will look at the decision. We'll look at the two cases that we're going to focus on within that test case that was brought to the Court of Appeal, the guidance, where do we go from there? And, a burning question, I think, which is, do the regulations actually effectively reduce common law damages? Well, we know they do for whiplash injuries, but do they do so for other injuries too? And it seems a rather odd heading to have on a slide, or a point to have on a slide, but the new approach, I've called it. And weirdly, for the new approach, we're going to go back to look at cases like Sadler and Philly IPAC back in 2011 to sort of reboot our way of assessing damages, where the injuries are not simply whiplash injuries that follow under the process, the protocol, the small claims track protocol. So that's the kind of layout of our job today.